obviously, like, before I start, and I wanted to thank my wife, which I will get back to in a moment, but of course, it's all my siblings who, without them, this couldn't have happened. And I'll talk more about her later, but my sister mom, that's Rebecca, really chipped in, and I don't mean monetarily now, because on the way out, I'll give you an itemized list. Hey, when I get to you, I'll tell you how you became like the brother-dad as we're getting older. Okay. Rebecca and Sam, and all the Bigfoot, and all the moral support.
You want a video for me? You want to hold it for me?
Together and stuff like that. Thank you very much. Well, I'll focus.
Send it to him first.
And Dina from Milwaukee, I'm not getting there yet. Dina from Milwaukee also for.
Is there another Dina?
She's down for Milwaukee.
Dina, is there another Dina or just Dina?
Rabbi Lee, is it okay? Like my husband knows, maybe we can have a tag team. I'll bring my wife up and we'll just like.
I'm sorry, I just don't want to leave anybody out.
Anyway, but Leamy, really, thank you very much. I want you to know that besides the Rav and Kenny Brown, who's like my brother, it's the only family. But okay, one second. But Mommy really appreciated Leamy for who she was. And so did Daddy, but this is, we're talking now. Mommy used to quell the fact that she's a Balabusta, and she runs the house, and everything is so elegant and classy, and that's, it's not me, it's me. So thank you. And I'm glad that we are having it here, and having everybody here. Boy, oh boy, I tell you. I get used to this, That's the Gore's genes. See, the Gore's genes not only Frankenstein genes, we're not nuts. We just have the Yetzer Hara that once we get up, we learn how to sit down. Believe me, it took me many years to even get up to do it. So now, but okay, I will just speak very, very briefly. You know what? I'll speak again briefly later. But we'll do now the first segment of the program, so to speak, is to make it into a Sivas Mitzvah, and then it should be an elevation for Bobby's Neshama now the Shloshim is over, and it's a different level. Hopefully, she was such a tzaddikus that it's going on to the next level, so to speak, and I believe that she's a menucha and just looking down from the heavily, how do we say, the Imzei Aranyam, something? But to me, it's a very big, my heart is bursting that I'm able to have Bini B'chayri, and I say Bini B'chayri because he's my oldest son, and Zaidi viewed him as his Talmud. I really was going to make a copy of Zaidi speaking about Yonah when Yonah was so instrumental in bringing like 75 or 100 guys with his Rosh Hashanah from First Yisrael to come to the house many times. And Daddy used to go, and Bobby used to always walk in, and he used to have to be there because Daddy couldn't have spoken if Bobby wasn't there. And when sometimes, like I said, I always didn't always appreciate Mommy for who she was and her strengths over time. But she would look at me with her wings. So what's wrong, David? I can come in. I'm allowed, and I have to hear Daddy. But I'm going to ask Yonah a Talmud of Zaydis, who I'm very proud of. He's a big Talmud Chacham, a big Mentera. And more than that, he has the glorious genes of being Derech Eretz Kodmal HaTorah. He's a Musar mensch. And what? Okay, we'll wait till that Shloshim. Oh, I'm just saying, well, I'm not that Shloshim with this, but at a yard sale, sued him for, what am I doing?
Presiding, so it's like.
Oh, no. No, but, so once you mentioned it, all kidding aside, the reason why all my kids are so special is because not only do they have the glory genes, they have the Fisher genes, who I chose and I picked as my wife's partner after I fell in love with him, remember? So come on, I mean, it's never, you know, I couldn't have done it myself. God, me, and then I had one other person, right? So that's, all my kids are so special. They're a combination of both of us. And Jonah, please, turn this into a spastic speech.
Open my stinger.
Before I'm a Messiah, I didn't officially plan anything to say, but I feel that as a representative for my siblings
And for me?
and some cousins, it would be wrong not to just speak about our relationship that we had just for a couple minutes with Bobby, Zadie. All of us, we are extremely grateful. We know how lucky we are for, my father said by Leviah, he was a baby, he got married late. And you're not always like that too, as close as we were with my mother's father. You're not always like that to spend a lot of time with them. And without this sounding weird, I guess, in a certain sense, the odds were against us. But we were safe to many young Tatum and years of growing and learning from Bobby and Baby. And we're all very grateful for that. I was just speaking with Ruth Kamika this morning, and they were telling me how when I was in Eretz Yisrael, when they went to visit, and at that point already I know from calling that things were, they were declining a little bit. At certain points, it took them a few minutes to realize who we were, who people were. But right away, when my siblings walked in, all the nicknames, talk about Moshe the Whip, right? A little Smarty Pants, and all Rivka and Eva and Yira. Yitzi, right? Yitzi was a dancing partner. Am I mixing it up? No. Yitzi was a Hill, I'm sure, I don't know, the Waterbury boy, right?
Yira was a reader.
And we all, really, there's no words that could really express how we feel and how grateful we are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though this is a very difficult time. But we were really very, very lucky. All of us, not just our siblings, all the cousins, all the family, and we are a very special family, and it started with Bubby and Zadie, and I just want to, you have to mention about Bubby, the quintessential Asian style, that she was moving, it's probably much easier, I wasn't around, but it's probably much easier for a Rav when you're the hero and you're the one that's speaking and the one that's getting all the fanfare to pick up and move a few times in your lifetime. So when you're the Rav, position sounds good, the Kehillah sounds good, but when you're the Rebbetzin, you probably have friends where you are. It's not like you're getting the extreme coven. But Bobby was always right there. And we know, like Daddy was saying, how Bubby was every time Zayda gave a shmuz, he was very mocking of making sure to call it a shmuz. Not, a shmuz, but every time he gave one, Bubby was right there next to him. And a few years ago, we were sitting on the couch in the kitchen, and Zayda said to me, we were talking over some stories from the past, and he said, I remember when I took Bubby to meet Reb David, meet Rebbe, to see if she was worthy of becoming my wife. Sounds like the way Sandy would say it. And he said, now I wonder, not if she was worthy of me, but if I was worthy of her. And he paused, in his inimitable way, and he said, I don't wonder, I know. He knew when we saw the way that Bubby took care of him and treated him and was always there for him. I just want to end, and if I steal this from your speech, if we can put it together.
We rehearsed last night.
No, but this, one of my, I didn't say anything. One of my father's favorites, he speaks from the Kitzur Shulchan that he discusses children, I guess the same would be for grandchildren, cousins, siblings, how to help the neshama have an aliyah. And he says that it's all very good and important for learning and Kaddish, but the main thing is to follow in their ways. That is the true aliyah. When you could continue, and we know that there is no better people to look up to follow than Bubby and Zadie. But that's, you can look back, like Bubby said when David was nifter, when she said to Zadie, what are we going to do now? So that's the real question now. What are we going to do now? We could take everything that we learned from them, and with Hashem, we should continue to grow and take everything that we can and bring it to the next generation. Amen. I'm just going to finish the last Mishnah in the second Simula. If somebody says, I'm going to do Averis and I'm going to do Tshuva, I'm going to do Averis, I'll do Tshuva, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the all-forgiving, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not give him Tziyach D'Shmai for Tshuva. Echatav Yom HaKippur Mechaper, Ein Yom HaKippur Mechaper. And Yom Kippur is not Mechaper. Averis Shevin Adon L'Makim, Yom Kippur Mechaper. Things that are between us and Hashem, Yom Kippur is Mechaper. Averis Shevin Adon L'Chaveri, Ein Yom HaKippur Mechaper. Yom Kippur is not Mechaper. Ad She'eratzas Chaveri. She'eratzas Chaveri. Until you ask for forgiveness from your friend. Azu Darish of Lazman Azariah, Mikol Chat Ezeh B'Pnei Hashem Titaru. Averis Shevin Adon L'Makim, Yom HaKippur Mechaper. Averis Shevin Adon L'Chaveri, Ein Yom HaKippur Mechaper. Ad She'eratzas Chaveri. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ashrei From Yisrael, B'Pnei Miyat HaMetarim, who in front of me Metarislam, who is Metar now. Avikum Shabbat Shemayim, Shenemar, B'Zarak Yelech Shemayim Tarim, B'Tar Tarim. V'aymer Mikvah Yisrael Hashem, Mam Mikvah Metaras HaTmeim, just like a Mikvah Metaras HaTmeim, Am HaKadosh Baruch Hu Metaras Yisrael. So to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Torah Adonai Lam Deimu Kukat Amin, Amin returns all the head. Moedu Anachlu L'Fanecha Adonai Lam Deimu Yisrael. Shesamtum Blokim Yesh Beis HaMikvah Shloim Yesh V'Koronis. Anu Mashkim V'Hem Mashkim, Anu Mashkim V'Hem Mashkim, V'Hem Mashkim V'Hem Mashkim. Anu Amiyan V'Hem Amiyan, Anu Amiyan V'Hem Amiyan, V'Hem Amiyan V'Hem Amiyan. Anu Ratzim V'Hem Ratzim, Anu Ratzim V'Hem Ratzim, V'Hem Ratzim V'Hem Shachar. Shenemar V'Atar, Elohim, Terdim, V'Der Shachar, Asher Dam, V'Hem V'Hem Ani Atachor. Yirtzam V'Fanecha Adonai Elihai, V'Shem Shadar Tanu, L'Sayim Shishas Adei Mishnah, Kach Ta'avreinu L'Hasas Gavim, Yisvarim Achreim L'Sayim, V'Yomer V'Ramen Lishmar V'Lasas Z'Chaim, V'Skodar Yisam, V'Sachid Ha'ava. It's called Tammuz, Sachid Ha'Tafam, and he's going to Sheish Sidrei HaMishnah, Tamei Lanu V'Gareinu, Shleit, Son Shatar means Ripinu, Ripuzareinu, Zera Zareinu Amelo. Yikayim Lanu is all, Lachatan, after I said, "B'shav chodesh ma'alachot, ha'kin soiseh yisus v'tachat." You yearly ma'achad yasifu l'fresh shmeis chaim. Arachon yimina v'tzmela isha v'chavay.
Also this Karat or Lachai, Israel, Sophia, Sophia, Ibn Ekar, the Jim Jacko, Ekol, Ekar, Suburban Ishmael, that's what the economy Ishtabak, Mispar, Misruman, Misnasei, Misador, Misale, Misalo, Shneikisho, Rio, Mikavaso, Shiroso, Moso, Moso,
Good words. I'm gonna get in trouble. I might like the wrong step I should. Once I don't have to be here, it becomes like 20 again.
What CD came in? Meatball?
Cayman?
Just saying. Throwing everyone.
Okay, everybody continue, but Yona. I have it's a very big problem. That the Rav came back. He was away for Shabbos. How did he drive? He drove to Minneapolis with his son to give the car to the Rebbetzin. Wow. Wow.
You still have
It's a very big cover. It's a very big cover, and
like this. So I can't just leave it out. The problem might be, I don't know, like your power speech or nothing.
the Rav is very close to the family. Yeah, specifically, I almost get tongue-tied, but
I think the speaker's on the line. Maybe we'll
it says Asela Farad. I was super lucky that I had a chaver and then Asela Farad, and then he became my Rav. He became my Rebbe. So I'm like a Talmud chaver up to a point. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me and to the family. And the closest was even such that how many times you and the Rebbetzin ate with us with my parents, together with my parents. So without further ado, if I say any more, then you're upset.
Also Bereshus, the Rav of the Mishpacha, Rabbi Yaina, Rosh Yeshiva of the Mishpacha, Rabbi Chapowitz, and now the mother and the older sister of the Mishpacha, Mrs. Halfinger, and of course Bereshus, the Chavrusa of Rabbi Remmel Osban, Baba, Hashem is stay with us as well, and all the wonderful Bnei Mishpacha that are here. Sitting here and looking around at this family, I'm reminded of an event that occurred with Rav Gifta Zatzal, Rein of Rabbeinu Rav Gifta Zatzal, who was such a close, beloved chaver of Rav Gewirtz Zatzal, Rebbetzin Gewirtz Lashon. And Reb Aaron Shechter came to Cleveland. And I was then learning in the Kollel. I wasn't yet a Rebbe in the Sifta. And it didn't look good for the Jews because nobody knew where Reb Aaron Shechter was. So there were 3 people on the committee who had somehow learned from Chaim Berlin. I was there for high school. Rabbi Feitman, Yaakov Feitman, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Einstein, and myself. And nothing really was happening. It was an idea of Jacob Bell's house. Nobody really was coming. So I told the Ingalite, the Rebbeim at the yeshiva, it's coming at Torah, everyone's got to come. So the place was packed in Galite. This is a parliament meeting to raise money. I don't know how much money they raised. But the place was full. And the Shloshim of Rebbetzin came out. And the Shloshim of Rebbetzin stayed for 5 minutes. And he got up to speak, and this is what he said. I'm coming here in honor of a Talmud. A Talmud. Aaron Shecht is a Talmud of Rav Hutner. And there are very few Talmidim in the world today. And I came in honor of a Talmud. And then he got up, and he wished him Hatzlacha, and he walked out. And Aaron Shechter followed Rav Gifta outside the living room, down the steps, out to the front of the house, the middle of a parlor meeting, and stood there to Rav Gifta's Kadra. I'm telling you, I am here in honor of children. I'm here in honor of real children. Because the way that I've experienced this mishpach, kibbut of aim behind for their parents, the way they talk about their parents and venerate their parents, b'chayim u'basachayim, it's very unique. You don't find it in most families. To have parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, to see them close up, and to see all the unique, interesting conditions that one can have, and experiences close up, and to venerate them, and to talk about them as their Rabbeim, Meridera, as a grandson, as a Talmud of the Zayda. Look at the worst was a Choshev Rav, a tremendous Talmud Chacham, a wonderful orator, and a wonderful, friendly, beautiful human being. And the Rebbetzin the same. He wasn't a Rosh Yeshiva. He was a Baron Kotler. But in his own way, he had an incredible shtempel in this mishpach. So I'm here to cover the children. I'm here to cover the grandchildren. Just as Rav Gifta came to cover the Talmud, I'm here to cover children who are Talmidim. Each one in their own way represent the beauty and the love of their parents, sharing themselves with Klal Yisrael. Interesting thing, this kibbut overlay, because this family is the opposite of what normally happens. Torah Kedusha says, so the order is clear. You honor your parents, you live long years, and things are good. There's another mitzvah. Shiluach hakein. Shaliach teshalach hasaim esabanim tikach loch v'man yitav loch v'alach liyom. Here the order is reversed. Here things are good, and then we'll live long years. The exact same identical reward in Parshas Veschanan, Luchei Shniyos, when it comes to kibbut avayim, with Shiluach hakein, longevity, but the order is reversed. When it comes to Shiluach hakein, l'man yitav loch v'alach liyom. When it comes to kibbut avayim, l'man yirichon yamecha, l'man yitav. The pshat is very simple. Even the Gemara Chulin teaches us not to learn chesed, compassion, from Shiluach hakein, but it's a feel-good mitzvah. You feel good. You're a human being, and you've separated and lessened the angst of a mother taking the children, not when the mother is there, chasing away the mother. It's a feel-good kind of mitzvah. Says the Torah, Shalech teshalach hasoim esabarim tikach loch. L'man yitav loch, it's going to be great. Rach the yom, you're also going to live long years. But the Torah says when it comes to kibbut avayim, it's just the opposite. I'm 16, I'm 18, I'm 20, I'm 70, I know better. There's a generation gap. I'll do what my parents want me to do. I'll honor them because the Torah says so, but they don't really get me, and I don't really get them. It says the Torah, live long years. Well, when you're a father and you're a Zayda, then you're going to appreciate your parents and your grandparents. When you live 40, 50, 60 years, then you see the sage counsel and advice of your parents and grandparents was so wonderful. But what about a mishpacha who sees it when it's happening? What about children who venerate their parents as they go through life's experiences, when they're 10 and 20 and 50 and 70, and they still say, Mommy and Daddy are special. And they still say, I'm going to counsel with them. And they still say, I'm going to learn from them. You can have smicha, yeri, and yodin from Mereda of Moshe. You still counsel with your father. You could start a yeshiva in Milwaukee and turn the city upside down. You still take counsel from your parents. You can have a beautiful mishpacha in Queens. You take counsel from your parents, and you can be the baby, the mizhinik, and you love and venerate your father and your mother, and you love and venerate them, and the children do. And you could say at a shloshim that my son is a Talmud of the Zayda. Not Reb David, not Reb Moshe, but his grandfather, Rabbi Gewirtz. That's not Lefi Derech HaTeva. That's a very unique family. So they're coming to commemorate and celebrate this mishpacha. That's what the shloshim is all about. The shikha of the shloshim. That's not you make a shloshim. Shulchan Aruch says you make a bracha if you don't see somebody in 30 days. But there's no shikha because your parents are sitting right in front of you. You don't see it, I see it. I see Reb Gewirtz and Rebbetzin Gewirtz right before my eyes. In the Hoga Taiva, in the Midas, in the Mensch L'chai, in the good humor, in the Gewirtz gene, everything, it's all here. It's all here. And it all comes from that source. To recognize it while you're growing up is a huge thing. And I want to just end with one thought. Baruch Hashem, there was Zochach Harichas Yom. But nevertheless, it's very, very important. There's another kiyum of a mitzvah that's going on right now. And you might not understand it when I initially say it. The mitzvah of Tzoror Es HaMidyanim. Kitzayrim Hein. The anti-Semites, they take vengeance against the Jews. They persecute us, they oppress us, they harass us, they kill us. It says the Rebbeinu Shalom take Nekoma against the Midyanim. We'll learn about it in Matas Masai. And clearly the Torah said in Pinchas, we're right in between the commandment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take Nekoim Nikmas B'nei Yisrael Meis HaMidyanim and between Tzoror Es HaMidyanim Kitzayrim Hein. What happens in between? You know what happens in between? The very next pasuk that says, what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Klal Yisrael to count. Tells Moshe Rabbeinu still count Klal Yisrael. Now simply, the question is, after the Megeifa, how many are left? Hashem loves them. He counts them throughout the Torah. Here's another shot. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, that is how you take revenge. You take the revenge against the oppressors, not by hunting them down and spending your whole life beating them up. You can do that. But that's not the ultimate revenge. The ultimate revenge is to create families and to see Dereshim of Beirachim, 3-4 generations. That's the ultimate revenge against all the assimilation, acculturation, and against all the anti-Semitism in the world. There's no greater revenge than here and now. Of all the shtetach in Europe that were lost, the forebearers of Rabbi Rebbetzin Gewirtz, of all the mishpacha that was lost, and all the Jews that fell off along the way in Waterbury and other places that never assimilated and acculturated in America. This is the Nekom. This is Tzoror Es HaMidyanim. When you have a Torah Shtub, when you see Dorish Hashem of Beirachim, when you bring people closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the ultimate Nekom. So yes, they just found in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, some Nazi living there. He's 94 years old. String him up, kill him. But I'm not putting all my energy into that, because the ultimate energy has to be put into what this family does, emulating and living like their parents and grandparents from all sides of the aisles, all the combinations of all the mishpachas, the Fishers and everybody else, because everybody knows David. He has a heart of gold, and David happens to love his mother. He venerates. Put your hands together if you agree with me. I don't see you here. I don't see you crying. I didn't see you crying.
I can't believe that you weren't.
She's very special. No, she's an able person. She doesn't do things comfortably. Why is that? Yes. The bottom line is, it's a beautiful mishpacha, and I'm zoicha to be close with David as a true friend. I'm zoicha that he voted for me as his rav. It was really overwhelming majority of people voted for me 5 years ago, and 17 did not. I'm trying to figure out who they are. Change in a year. You always have to have them. That's right, Toiv. That's a million times. You know, you should know years ago when I was thinking of coming in, wherever I was sent to stay in Koil. So he spent an hour and a half convincing me to stay in Minneapolis. And he says, "Was is mit Rabbi Yisrael?" I know exactly what he meant. Rabbi Yoina knows also. The words know also. Shal Salanta said, "Avov was mit Willem nicht arois, v'of is nicht gerov. V'af dem arois is nicht kenesh." You got to be right on the cusp. In other words, if they don't want to throw you out, you're not doing your job. And if they actually do throw you out, you're not a human being. You have to be in between. So he takes my hand, Rav Shmuel, he says, "Moshe, tell me, Vos is mit Rabbi Yisrael. Everybody in Minneapolis loves you." I told him, "Rebbe, ich help become a kind of Rabbi Yisrael." And I'm sure there are a couple of people now saying, "Till him at the mirror, sheep, should be my belief to get out of town and move to New York." So you have to have a couple of fellas. It's just a couple of fellas. And sometimes it changes, but that's not the point. I have Reb David. If I have Reb David, I got it all. Rebbetzin will help him that the Mama, the Heilige Mama of Hashem, she would call the Gebet and other Rebbetzin like he said. And two wonderful things for this entire mishpach. Everybody should be healthy and well. The Siyata B'Shmai should be panos in the mishpach. And to me, the most important thing, Shidduchim, the Korim, Chasanim, the Chasanim, the Chasanim. So Rabbi Yonah Zokt, Tata Mamas are in Dor, and they're going to be here to Siyata B'Shmai for the Simchas. We should share Simchas for many years together in the greatest Simcha. Be as a girl,
Together. And it's always, it means much to me to have you as a big sister. It's more than a big sister, you know. If I say more, I might get choked up. So, you know, I feel, and my whole family feels it. Going back to the pictures of you, Phil, with your back on your back on the floor. I don't know if you on the floor, but
I was,
oh.
over there. I remember the dress I was wearing.
But
The pink carpet and the arches, I could see you also there, yeah.
I love you, and please want to hear your special.
Can you say it like your mother said it? She'd like to be you.
Gave you your chance.
No, I didn't want to give it away. That's how mommy would have said it.
Do I have to stand up and think?
No, you're wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm just interrupting. I must say that I enjoy my Yona and my Rivka. When I see their relationship, it reminds me very much of the two of you. So, not David, not my husband. I want you and your big brother. I have my own Yona and Rivka, and they have that bond. It must be in the name.
You understand?
We are sojourners in Hashem's home, temporary residents. Join me, please, on my journey. I'm not really able to separate my mother from my father. I will therefore speak about them both. At the outset, I would like to clarify that although a child can be referred to as an orphan, a yasam, when he or she loses both parents, and less often with the loss of only one parent, I'm not willing to fall into that category. Fortunately, so much of my parents is distinctly manifested within me to keep them ever present, and that's why they're here today. Daddy and I shared our birthdays and so much valued time during our frequent visits and through many a written rhyme. In so many ways, we understood each other. We all knew how much he loved our mother. On all his trips, Mommy stood strong at his side. As his loving partner, she filled him with pride. She contributed greatly in every endeavor. He was never without her, not hardly ever. From within and from without, her beauty could be seen. With tenderness and sensitivity, she wore the crown of a queen. She shared in all his honor with duly accorded praise. They traveled as a couple with reward for their humble ways. She welcomed every opportunity to stand alongside my dad. His glorified achievements truly made her glad. With my mother came a package, a beautiful one, handsomely tied and bowed. The kindness of my Zaidi and Bubby always overflowed. Up a full flight of stairs at New Lots 409, our visits were so warming with our favorite and only Bubby and Zaidi so fine. Bubby cooked and baked without any recipes indeed. She rolled it and folded it. She was eager to feed. When they moved to Miami Beach, we didn't see them as much. Distance didn't keep us apart. We always kept in touch. With our weekly telephone calls and letters back and forth, and my Yiddish so proficient, our messages flowed from south to north. Zaidi's lettering was quite slanted. His style was unique. I loved everything about him. There was no room for critique. I sent them home-baked cookies every once in a while. Within their gracious acceptance, I felt their loving smile. Went too fast. They shared in every simcha, welcoming each addition. Our firstborn, Chaim Shalom, and Ora, whom Zaidi called Lichtel. Mommy was a favorite, and Daddy just the same. We managed to be the lucky ones. The Gewirtz house was where they came in. Got it?
Yeah.
Bubby left us first. Zaidi lived on 5 more years. How hard it was to see him go. At his bedside, I left some tears. I visit their gravesite as an honor and with love. Hashem watches over them from up above. David and I traveled en route to Mommy. For a time, it seemed like every single Sunday. We joked about exits 27 and 30. We made no mistakes along the way. For better and for worse, through thick and thin, when we visited Mommy, we wanted to win. We traveled the highways from Colesville to Dale, to Red Oak and Crosby and Pin Oak, no fail. Mommy lit up for her baby David. Her maternal instincts were aglow. Our many visits kept her going. Each added moment made our love grow. Mommy stroked her hand across my face. She even made nice to my hair, reminding me, I know you're Rebecca. We exchanged our love with expressive care. One of our trips was late into the night. Unsure of our expectations, we were filled with fright. Yet some good times followed where her thoughts were clear. She spoke from her heart. Her words still ring in my ear. You are so good looking. You are so nice to talk to. You are understanding. There was a brighter view. Hashem is mezaveg zlugim. Baruch Hashem, the two were paired. They were bound by so much love. Each one genuinely cared. Just hours before her last morning came my final farewell. I left Mommy with my message, one I shall not tell. I wished her to be comfortable on her upcoming journey so near. Mommy, I said, as I will look into the mirror, you will always appear. Daddy's outstretched arms were beckoning. You were, as usual, eager to fulfill, to once again walk hand in hand, as lovebirds, if you will. Mommy was a woman of distinction, never taking the back seat. The pull of gravity was so strong, her top kids almost complete. Yes, I carry Daddy's mother's name, I hope with dignity and grace. Yes, so too I have the good fortune to more than just wear my mother's face. My big brother quotes my mother, Zol deinst ibergain. I quote my mother, Es is shame nicht du, was is amo gewein. In peace and with tranquility, Mommy has joined her mate. Apias golal haMashiach, her everlasting fate. All activity has come to a halt. The curtains were drawn on stage. Their multifaceted technicolor life brought them blissful blessings to a ripe old age. We are here now as the next generation to ably step up to the plate. We've been taught by outstanding role models. Our new Tekufa will be just great. I was able to put poetry into motion. 36 stanzas was my choice. But I found that nearly impossible. I kept hearing Mommy's voice. Mommy would often tell me how the words rolled out of my sleeve. One of her many compliments I was happy to receive. The words kept tumbling, my sleeves were long. Poetry is lenient, there is no right or wrong. I've wrapped it all up, I'm trying to stop right here. I believe that all I've written has reached the celestial sphere. As we uphold our legacy, never to falter in the slightest, Daddy and Mommy, as you're looking down from on high, your expressions of radiance are the brightest. I sang my Yiddish Mama, choking up for the very last time. The very last line was left unsung. On that note, I close my rhyme.